Want to create your own audiobook, offline and on your own time? Visit haraya-ai.com to get started.
Now, here's Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Do not seek yourself outside yourself. Man is his own star, and the soul that can render an honest and a perfect man commands all light, all influence, all fate. Nothing to him falls early or too late. Our acts, our angels are, or good or ill, are fatal shadows that walk by us still. Epilogue to Beaumont and Fletcher's Honest Man's Fortune. Cast the helpless child on the rocks, feed him at the she-wolf's breast, wintered with the hawk and fox. Power and speed be hands and feet. I read the other day some verses written by a famous painter which were original and not ordinary. The soul always hears a warning in such lines, let the subject be what it may. The feeling they plant is of more value than any thought they may contain. To believe your own thought, to believe that what is true for you in your private heart is true for all men, that is genius. Speak your hidden belief, and it shall be the shared sense of all. For what is deepest inside in time becomes what is shown outside, and our first thought is given back to us by the trumpets of the last judgment. Familiar as the voice of the mind is to each, the highest praise we give to Moses, Plato, and Milton is that they set aside books and traditions and spoke not what men, but what they thought. A man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within more than the bright sky of poets and wise men. Yet he dismisses without notice his thought because it is his. In every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with a strange and grand power. Great works of art have no more moving lesson for us than this. They teach us to stand by our first true impression with cheerful firmness, then most when the whole cry of voices is on the other side. Else tomorrow a stranger will say with clear good sense precisely what we have thought and felt all the time, and we shall be forced to take with shame our own opinion from another. There is a time in every man's education when he comes to the firm belief that envy is ignorance, that imitation is suicide, that he must take himself, good and bad, as his share. That though the wide universe is full of good, no grain of good food can come to him except through his work on the ground given him to farm. The power which resides in him is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried. Not for nothing one face, one character, one fact makes much impression on him and another none. This image in the memory is not without a built-in harmony. The eye was placed where one ray should fall, that it might speak of that particular ray. We but half express ourselves and are ashamed of that divine idea which each of us represents. It may be safely trusted as right in measure and good in result if it is given out honestly, but God will not have his work made clear by cowards. A man is relieved and gay when he has put his heart into his work and done his best. But what he has said or done otherwise shall give him no peace. It is a freedom that does not free him. In the attempt his genius deserts him, no muse helps him, no invention, no hope. Trust thyself, every heart vibrates to that iron string. Accept the place that God has found for you, the people of your own time, the chain of events. Great men have always done so, and trusted themselves like children to the spirit of their age, showing they saw that the one fully trustworthy power sat at their heart, working through their hands, ruling in all their being. And we are now men, and must accept with the highest mind the same great destiny above the ordinary, and not children and weak people in a safe corner, not cowards running from change, but guides, rescuers and helpers, obeying the almighty effort and moving forward on chaos and the dark. What clear signs nature gives us on this point in the face and behavior of children, babes, and even brutes. That split and doubting mind, that distrust of a feeling because we have counted the strength and means against our purpose, these they do not have. Their mind being whole, their eye is not yet beaten, and when we look in their faces, we are shaken. A baby bends to nobody, all conform to it, so that one babe commonly makes 4 or 5 out of the adults who chatter and play to it. So God has armed youth and coming of age and manhood no less with its own sharp charm, and made it enviable and pleasing, and its claims not to be put aside, if it will stand by itself. Do not think the youth has no force, because he cannot speak to you and me. Hark! In the next room his voice is sufficiently clear and emphatic. It seems he knows how to speak to those his own age. Shy or bold, then, he will know how to make us older people quite unnecessary. The easy calm of boys who are sure of a dinner, and would scorn as much as a lord to do or say anything to win favor, is the healthy attitude of human nature. A boy in the sitting room is like the crowd in the cheap seats of a theater, free, not answerable to anyone, looking out from his corner on such people and facts as pass by. He judges them on their merits, in the quick, short way of boys, as good, bad, interesting, silly, eloquent, troublesome. He never loads himself with worry about results or advantages. He gives a free, true judgment. You must try to win him. He does not try to win you. But the grown man is as it were thrown into jail by his own self-awareness. As soon as he has once acted or spoken with a show of brilliance, he is a bound person, watched by the liking or the hatred of hundreds, whose feelings must now enter into his account. There is no river of forgetfulness for this. Ah, that he could pass again into his free, open state, who can thus avoid all promises, and having watched, watch again from the same open, fair, unbribable, unafraid innocence, must always be a force to reckon with. He would utter opinions on all passing affairs, which being seen to be not private but needful, would sink like darts into the ear of men and put them in fear. These are the voices which we hear in solitude, but they grow faint and hard to hear as we enter into the world. Society everywhere is in conspiracy against the manhood of every one of its members. Society is a shared company in which the members agree, for the better securing of bread to each shareholder, to give up the freedom and growth of the one who eats. The virtue most asked for is fitting in. Self-reliance is what it hates. It loves not real things and makers, but names and customs. Whoever would be a man must not merely follow the crowd. He who would win lasting honor must not be stopped by the mere name of goodness, but must search out whether it is truly good. Nothing is finally holy but the honesty of your own mind. Clear yourself before yourself, and you shall have the vote of the world. I remember an answer which, when quite young, I was moved to make to a valued adviser who used to press me with the dear old doctrines of the Church. On my saying, "What have I to do with the holiness of traditions if I live wholly from within?" my friend suggested, "But these urges may be from below, not from above." I replied, "They do not seem to me to be such. But if I am the devil's child, I will live then from the devil. No law can be sacred to me but that of my nature. Good and bad are but names very readily transferable to that or this. The only right is what fits my true nature. The only wrong is what goes against it. A man is to carry himself in the face of all opposition as if everything were only a title and short-lived, but I am ashamed to think how easily we give in to badges and names, to large societies and dead institutions. Every decent and well-spoken person moves and sways me more than is right. I ought to go straight and alive and speak the plain truth in all ways. If spite and vanity wear the coat of charity, shall that pass? If an angry hardliner takes up this generous cause of ending slavery and comes to me with his last news from Barbados, why should I not say to him, "Go love thy infant, love thy wood chopper, be good-natured and modest. Have that grace, and never paint over your hard, unkind ambition with this hard to believe tenderness for black folk 1,000 miles off. Your love far away is spite at home. Rough and graceless would be such greeting, but truth is handsomer than fake love. Your goodness must have some sharp edge to it, else it is none. The teaching of hatred must be preached, as the counter to the teaching of love, when that love whimpers and whines. I shun father and mother and wife and brother when my genius calls me. I would write on the door frame, whim. I hope it is somewhat better than whim at last, but we cannot spend the day in explanation. Do not expect me to give reasons why I seek or shut out company. Then again, do not tell me, as a good man did today, of my duty to put all poor men in good situations. Are they my poor? I tell you, you foolish giver of charity, that I begrudge the dollar, the dime, the scent I give to such men as do not belong to me, and to whom I do not belong. There is a class of persons to whom by all spiritual kinship I am bought and sold. For them I will go to prison if need be, but your mixed popular charities, the education at college of fools, the building of meeting houses for the empty end to which many now stand, gifts to drunkards and the thousandfold relief societies. Though I confess with shame I sometimes give in and give the dollar, it is a wicked dollar which by and by I shall have the manhood to hold back. Virtues are, in popular judgment, rather the exception than the rule. There is the man and his virtues. Men do what is called a good action, as some piece of courage or charity, much as they would pay a fine to make up for daily failure to show up on parade. Their works are done as an apology or soft excuse for their living in the world, as the sick and the mad pay a high board. Their virtues are punishments they take on. I do not wish to make amends, but to live. My life is for itself and not for a spectacle. I much prefer that it should be of a lower level, so it be real and steady, than that it should be glittering and unsteady. I wish it to be sound and sweet, and not to need special diet and bloodletting. I ask first proof that you are a man, and refuse this appeal from the man to his actions. I know that for myself it makes no difference whether I do or forbear those actions which are reckoned excellent. I cannot consent to pay for a privilege where I have a right that is already mine. Few and small as my gifts may be, I actually am, and do not need for my own surety or the surety of my fellows any second-hand proof. What I must do is all that concerns me, not what the people think. This rule, equally hard in real life and in the life of the mind, may serve for the whole difference between greatness and smallness. It is the harder because you will always find those who think they know your duty better than you know it. It is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. It is easy in solitude to live after our own. But the great man is he who, in the midst of the crowd, keeps with perfect calm the independence of solitude. The objection to following customs that have become dead to you is that it scatters your force. It wastes your time and blurs the mark of your character. If you maintain a dead church, contribute to a dead Bible society, vote with a great party either for the government or against it, spread your table like low housekeepers, under all these covers, I have trouble seeing the real man you are. And of course, so much force is taken from your true life. But do your work, and I shall know you. Do your work, and you shall strengthen yourself. A man must see what a blindfold game this game of fitting in is. If I know your group, I already know your argument. I hear a preacher announce for his text and topic the usefulness of one of the institutions of his church. Do I not know beforehand that he cannot possibly say a new and free word? Do I not know that with all this show of examining the grounds of the institution, he will do no such thing? Do I not know that he has promised himself to look only at one side, the allowed side, not as a man, but as a parish minister? He is a hired lawyer, and these heirs of the judge's seat are the emptiest act. Well, most men have bound their eyes with one or another handkerchief and attached themselves to some one of these groups of opinion. This fitting in makes them not false in a few points, authors of a few lies, but false in all points. Their every truth is not quite true. Their two is not the real two, therefore not the real four, so that every word they say pains us, and we know not where to begin to set them right. Meantime nature is not slow to dress us in the prison uniform of the party to which we stick. We come to wear one cut of face and figure, and gain by degrees the softest donkey-like look. There is a shameful experience in particular, which does not fail to show itself also in the general history. I mean the foolish face of praise, the forced smile which we put on in company where we do not feel at ease in answer to conversation which does not interest us. The muscles, not moved freely, but moved by a low forced will, grow tight about the outline of the face with the most unpleasant feeling, for not fitting in the world whips you with its displeasure. And therefore, a man must know how to judge a sour face. The bystanders look sideways at him in the public street or in the friend's parlor. If this dislike had its root in scorn and resistance like his own, he might well go home with a sad face. But the sour faces of the crowd, like their sweet faces, have no deep cause, but are put on and off as the wind blows and a newspaper directs. Yet is the discontent of the crowd more fearful than that of the Senate and the college. It is easy enough for a firm man who knows the world to bear the rage of the educated classes. Their rage is polite and careful, for they are timid, as being very open to hurt themselves. But when to their soft rage the anger of the people is added, when the ignorant and the poor are stirred, when the unthinking raw force that lies at the bottom of society is made to growl and snarl, it needs the habit of a great spirit and of faith to treat it like a god, as a small thing of no concern. The other terror that scares us from self-trust is our need to stay the same, a respect for our past act or word, because the eyes of others have no other facts for tracking our path than our past acts, and we are unwilling to disappoint them. But why should you keep your head over your shoulder? Why drag about this dead body of your memory, lest you go against something you have stated in this or that public place? Suppose you should contradict yourself, what then? It seems to be a rule of wisdom never to rely on your memory alone, scarcely even in acts of pure memory, but to bring the past for judgment into the present with 1,000 eyes, and live always in a new day. In your high theories, you have denied personality to God, yet when the holy movements of the soul come, yield to them heart and life, though they should clothe God with shape and color. Leave your theory, as Joseph left his coat in the hand of the seducer, and flee. A foolish need to stay the same is the ghost that haunts little minds, loved by little statesmen and thinkers and preachers. With this need to stay the same, a great soul has simply nothing to do. He may as well concern himself with his shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it goes against everything you said today. Ah, so you shall be sure to be misunderstood. Is it so bad then to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took on a body. To be great is to be misunderstood. I suppose no man can violate his nature. All the sudden leaps of his will are held in by the law of his being, as the rough heights of Andes and Himalaya are small in the curve of the earth. Nor does it matter how you measure and test him. A character is like a word puzzle or a verse that reads the same in more than one way. Read it forward, backward, or across, it still spells the same thing. In this pleasing, humble wood life which God allows me, let me write day by day my honest thought without looking ahead or looking back, and I cannot doubt it will be found balanced, though I do not plan it and do not see it. My book should smell of pines and resound with the hum of insects. The swallow over my window should weave that thread or straw he carries in his bill into my web also. We pass for what we are. Character teaches above our wishes. Men imagine that they show their virtue or vice only by open actions, and do not see that virtue or vice give off a breath every moment. There will be agreement in whatever variety of actions, if they be each honest and natural in their hour. For of one will, the actions will fit together, however unlike they seem. These varieties are lost sight of at a little distance, at a little height of thought. One direction unites them all. The voyage of the best ship is a zigzag line of 100 turns. See the line from a far enough distance, and it straightens itself to the main direction. Your real action will explain itself and will explain your other real actions. Your conformity explains nothing. Act alone and true, and what you have already done alone and true will justify you now. Greatness appeals to the future. If I can be firm enough today to do right and scorn watching eyes, I must have done so much right before as to defend me now. Be it how it will, do right now. Always scorn mere show, and you always may. The force of character builds up over time. All the past days of virtue work their health into this. What makes the greatness of the heroes of the Senate and the field, which so fills the imagination? The awareness of a train of great days and victories behind. They shed a joined light on the advancing actor. He is followed as by a visible escort of angels. That is it which throws thunder into Chatham's voice, and dignity into Washington's bearing, and America into Adams's eye. Honor is worthy of deep respect to us because it is no short-lived thing. It is always old virtue. We worship it today because it is not of today. We love it and pay it honor because it is not a trap for our love and honor, but stands on itself, comes from itself, and therefore has an old pure line, even if shown in a young person. I hope in these days we have heard the last of conformity and consistency. Let the words be published as news and made ridiculous from now on. Instead of the gong for dinner, let us hear a whistle from the Spartan flute. Let us never bow and apologize again. A great man is coming to eat at my house. I do not wish to please him. I wish that he should wish to please me. I will stand here for humanity, and though I would make it kind, I would make it true. Let us face and rebuke the smooth average and poor contentment of the times, and hurl in the face of custom and trade and office the fact which is the result of all history, that there is a great responsible thinker and actor working wherever a man works. That a true man belongs to no other time or place but is the center of things. Where he is, there is nature. He measures you and all men and all events. Ordinarily, every body in society reminds us of something else or of some other person. Character, reality, reminds you of nothing else. It takes the place of the whole creation. The man must be so much that he must make all circumstances of no matter. Every true man is a cause, a country, and an age, needs endless spaces and numbers and time fully to finish his design, and those who come after seem to follow his steps as a train of followers. A man Caesar is born, and for ages after we have a Roman Empire. Christ is born, and millions of minds so grow and cling to his genius that he is mixed up with virtue and with what man can be. An institution is the long shadow of one man, as the life of monks of the hermit Antony, the Reformation of Luther, Quakerism of Fox, Methodism of Wesley, abolition of Clarkson. Scipio Milton called the height of Rome, and all history settles very easily into the life story of a few strong and earnest persons. Let a man then know his worth and keep things under his feet. Let him not peep or steal or sneak up and down with the air of a charity boy, an outcast, or an outsider in the world which exists for him. But the man in the street, finding no worth in himself, which matches the force which built a tower or carved a marble god, feels poor when he looks on these. To him a palace, a statue, or a costly book have a strange and forbidding air, much like a showy carriage, and seem to say like that, "Who are you, sir?" Yet they all are his, seekers of his notice, askers of his powers that they will come out and take possession. The picture waits for my judgment. It is not to command me, but I am to settle its claims to praise. That popular story of the drunk who was picked up dead drunk in the street, carried to the Duke's house, washed and dressed and laid in the Duke's bed, and on his waking, treated with all fawning ceremony like the Duke, and told that he had been mad, owes its popularity to the fact that it stands so well for the state of man, who is in the world a sort of drunk, but now and then wakes up, uses his reason, and finds himself a true prince. Our reading is beggarly and flattering. In history, our imagination lies to us. Kingdom and lordship, power and estate, are a flashier set of words than Private John and Edward in a small house and common day's work. But the things of life are the same to both. The sum total of both is the same. Why all this bowing to Alfred and Scanderbeg and Gustavus? Suppose they were virtuous. Did they use up virtue? As great a stake hangs on your private act today as followed their public and famous steps. When private men shall act with original views, the shine will pass from the actions of kings to those of gentlemen. The world has been taught by its kings, who have so drawn the eyes of nations. It has been taught by this huge symbol the mutual respect that is due from man to man. The joyful loyalty with which men have everywhere allowed the king, the noble, or the great landowner to walk among them by a law of his own, make his own scale of men and things and reverse theirs, pay for benefits not with money but with honor, and stand for the law in his person, was the hidden sign by which they dimly showed their sense of their own right and fitness, the right of every man. The draw which all original action has is explained when we ask the reason of self-trust. Who is the trustee? What is the original self, on which a universal trust may be grounded? What is the nature and power of that star that science cannot solve, without fixed measure, without parts we can calculate, which shoots a ray of beauty even into small and impure actions, if the least mark of independence appears? The search leads us to that source, at once the core of genius, of virtue, and of life, which we call spontaneity or instinct. We name this first wisdom intuition, while all later teachings are lessons from outside. In that deep force, the last fact behind which study cannot go, all things find their common origin. For the sense of being which in calm hours rises, we know not how in the soul, is not different from things, from space, from light, from time, from man, but one with them, and clearly comes from the same source from which their life and being also come. We first share the life by which things exist, and afterwards see them as outer shows in nature, and forget that we have shared their cause. Here is the fountain of action and of thought. Here are the lungs of that inspiration which gives man wisdom, and which cannot be denied without disrespect to God and denial of God. We lie in the lap of vast intelligence, which makes us receivers of its truth and tools of its activity. When we see justice, when we see truth, we do nothing of ourselves, but allow a passage to its beams. If we ask where this comes from, if we seek to pry into the soul that causes, all philosophy fails. Its presence, or its absence, is all we can say for sure. Every man tells apart the willing acts of his mind and his unplanned perceptions, and knows that to his unplanned perceptions a perfect faith is due. He may err in the wording of them, but he knows that these things are so, like day and night, not to be argued away. My willful actions and gains are but wandering. The laziest daydream, the faintest natural feeling, command my curiosity and respect. Thoughtless people contradict as readily the statement of perceptions as of opinions, or rather much more readily, for they do not tell apart perception and mere idea. They fancy that I choose to see this or that thing. But perception is not a whim, but fixed and sure. If I see a trait, my children will see it after me, and in course of time all mankind, although it may happen that no one has seen it before me, for my perception of it is as much a fact as the sun. The relations of the soul to the divine spirit are so pure that it is unholy to seek to put helps in between. It must be that when God speaks he should give, not one thing but all things, should fill the world with his voice, should scatter forth light, nature, time, souls, from the center of the present thought, and set a new date, and create the whole anew. Whenever a mind is simple and receives a divine wisdom, old things pass away, means, teachers, texts, temples fall. It lives now and takes past and future into the present hour. All things are made holy by relation to it, one as much as another. All things are dissolved to their center by their cause, and in the universal miracles small and special miracles disappear. If therefore a man claims to know and speak of God, and carries you backward to the wording of some old decayed nation in another country, in another world, believe him not. Is the acorn better than the oak, which is its fullness and completion? Is the parent better than the child into whom he has poured his ripened being? Where then comes this worship of the past? The centuries plot against the health and authority of the soul. Time and space are but colors of the body which the eye makes, but the soul is light. Where it is day, where it was, is night, and history is a rude intrusion and a hurt if it be anything more than a cheerful fable or parable of my being and becoming. Man is timid and apologetic. He is no longer upright. He dares not say, I think, I am, but quotes some saint or wise man. He is ashamed before the blade of grass or the open rose. These roses under my window make no reference to former roses or to better ones. They are for what they are. They exist with God today. There is no time to them. There is simply the rose. It is perfect in every moment of its existence. Before a leaf bud has opened, its whole life acts. In the full-blown flower there is no more. In the leafless root there is no less. Its nature is satisfied, and it satisfies nature in all moments alike. But man puts off or remembers. He does not live in the present, but with turned back eye mourns the past, or, careless of the riches that surround him, stands on tiptoe to foresee the future. He cannot be happy and strong until he too lives with nature in the present, above time. This should be plain enough. Yet see what strong minds dare not yet hear God himself, unless he speak the wording of I know not what David, or Jeremiah, or Paul. We shall not always set so great a price on a few texts, on a few lives. We are like children who repeat by memory the sentences of grandmothers and teachers, and as they grow older, of the men of talent and character they happen to see, painfully recalling the exact words they spoke. Afterwards, when they come into the point of view which those had who said these sayings, they understand them and are willing to let the words go, for at any time they can use words as good when the time comes. If we live truly, we shall see truly. It is as easy for the strong man to be strong as it is for the weak to be weak. When we have new perception, we shall gladly free the memory of its stored treasures as old rubbish. When a man lives with God, his voice shall be as sweet as the murmur of the brook and the rustle of the corn. And now at last the highest truth on this subject remains unsaid, probably cannot be said, for all that we say is the far-off remembering of the inner seeing. That thought, by what I can now come to saying it, is this. When good is near you, when you have life in yourself, it is not by any known or usual way. You shall not make out the footprints of any other. You shall not see the face of man. You shall not hear any name. The way, the thought, the good shall be wholly strange and new. It shall shut out example and experience. You take the way from man, not to man. All persons that ever existed are its forgotten servants. Fear and hope are alike beneath it. There is something low even in hope. In the hour of vision, there is nothing that can be called gratitude, nor properly joy. The soul raised over passions sees oneness and eternal cause and effect, sees the self-existence of truth and right, and calms itself with knowing that all things go well. Vast spaces of nature, the Atlantic Ocean, the South Sea. Long stretches of time, years, centuries, are of no account. This which I think and feel lay under every former state of life and circumstances, as it does lie under my present, and what is called life, and what is called death. Life only matters, not the having lived. Power stops in the instant of rest. It lives in the moment of change from a past to a new state, in the shooting of the gulf, in the darting to an aim. This one fact the world hates, that the soul becomes, for that forever lowers the past, turns all riches to poverty, all reputation to a shame, mixes the saint with the rogue, shoves Jesus and Judas equally aside. Why then do we chatter of self-reliance? Inasmuch as the soul is present, there will be power not merely sure of itself, but acting. To talk of reliance is a poor outer way of speaking. Speak rather of that which relies because it works and is. Who has more obedience than I masters me, though he should not raise his finger? Round him I must revolve by the pull of spirits. We fancy it mere fine speech when we speak of high virtue. We do not yet see that virtue is height, and that a man or a company of men, soft and open to principles, by the law of nature must overpower and ride all cities, nations, kings, rich men, poets who are not. This is the final fact which we so quickly reach on this, as on every topic, the settling of all into the ever-blessed one. Self-existence is the quality of the supreme cause, and it makes the measure of good by the degree in which it enters into all lower forms. All things real are so by so much virtue as they contain. Trade, farming, hunting, whaling, war, fine speech, personal force are something, and win my respect as examples of its presence and impure action. I see the same law working in nature for keeping and growth. Power is, in nature, the essential measure of right. Nature allows nothing to remain in her kingdoms which cannot help itself. The birth and growth of a planet, its balance and path, the bent tree recovering itself from the strong wind, the life resources of every animal and plant, are proofs of the self-sufficing and therefore self-relying soul. Thus all comes to a point. Let us not wander, let us sit at home with the cause. Let us stun and astonish the intruding crowd of men and books and institutions by a simple statement of the divine fact. Bid the invaders take the shoes from off their feet, for God is here within. Let our simplicity judge them, and our readiness to obey our own law show the poverty of nature and fortune beside our native riches. But now we are a mob. Man does not stand in awe of man, nor is his genius worn to stay at home, to put itself in touch with the inner ocean, but it goes abroad to beg a cup of water from the jars of other men. We must go alone. I like the silent church before the service begins better than any preaching. How far off, how cool, how pure the persons look, each one ringed with a private holy space. So let us always sit. Why should we take on the faults of our friend, or wife, or father, or child, because they sit around our hearth, or are said to have the same blood? All men have my blood, and I have all men's. Not for that will I take on their crossness or folly, even to the extent of being ashamed of it. But your isolation must not be only outer, but spiritual, that is, must be a rising up. At times the whole world seems to be in conspiracy to press you with loud small matters. Friend, client, child, sickness, fear, want, charity, all knock at once at your private door and say, "Come out unto us." But keep your state. Come not into their confusion. The power men have to annoy me, I give them by a weak curiosity. No man can come near me but through my act. What we love that we have, but by desire we rob ourselves of the love. If we cannot at once rise to the holy heights of obedience and faith, let us at least resist our temptations. Let us enter into the state of war and wake Thor and Woden, courage and steadiness, in our Saxon breasts. This is to be done in our smooth times by speaking the truth. Stop this lying hospitality and lying affection. Live no longer to the expectation of these deceived and deceiving people with whom we talk. Say to them, "O father, O mother, O wife, O brother, O friend, I have lived with you after appearances until now. From now on I am the truths. Be it known unto you that from now on I obey no law less than the eternal law. I will have no bonds but nearness. I shall try to nourish my parents, to support my family, to be the pure husband of one wife. But these relations I must fill after a new and untried way. I appeal from your customs. I must be myself. I cannot break myself any longer for you or you. If you can love me for what I am, we shall be the happier. If you cannot, I will still seek to deserve that you should. I will not hide my tastes or dislikes. I will so trust that what is deep is holy, that I will do strongly before the sun and moon whatever inwardly rejoices me and the heart appoints. If you are noble, I will love you. If you are not, I will not hurt you and myself by false attentions. If you are true but not in the same truth with me, stick to your companions, I will seek my own. I do this not selfishly but humbly and truly. It is alike your interest and mine and all men's, however long we have lived in lies, to live in truth. Does this sound harsh today? You will soon love what is required by your nature as well as mine, and if we follow the truth, it will bring us out safe at last. So may you give these friends pain. Yes, but I cannot sell my liberty and my power to save their feelings. Besides, all persons have their moments of reason when they look out into the region of absolute truth. Then will they justify me and do the same thing? The common people think that your rejection of popular standards is a rejection of all standard and mere lawlessness, and the bold pleasure-seeker will use the name of philosophy to gold-plate his crimes. But the law of awareness remains. There are two confession places, in one or the other of which we must be forgiven. You may fulfill your round of duties by clearing yourself in the direct or in the reflected way. Consider whether you have satisfied your relations to father, mother, cousin, neighbor, town, cat, and dog, whether any of these can blame you. But I may also set aside this reflected standard and clear myself to myself. I have my own stern claims and perfect circle. It denies the name of duty to many tasks that are called duties, but if I can pay its debts, it enables me to do without the popular code. If anyone imagines that this law is loose, let him keep its commandment one day. And truly, it demands something godlike in him, who has cast off the common motives of humanity and has dared to trust himself for a master of tasks. High be his heart, faithful his will, clear his sight, that he may in good earnest be doctrine, society, law to himself, that a simple purpose may be to him as strong as iron necessity is to others. If any man consider the present look of what is called by distinction society, he will see the need of these ethics. The sinew and heart of man seem to be drawn out, and we are become fearful, downcast whimperers. We are afraid of truth, afraid of fortune, afraid of death, and afraid of each other. Our age yields no great and perfect persons. We want men and women who shall renew life and our social state, but we see that most natures are bankrupt, cannot satisfy their own wants, have an ambition out of all proportion to their practical force, and do lean and beg day and night continually. Our housekeeping is beggarly, our arts, our occupations, our marriages, our religion we have not chosen, but society has chosen for us. We are parlor soldiers. We shun the hard battle of fate, where strength is born. If our young men fail in their first enterprises, they lose all heart. If the young merchant fails, men say he is ruined. If the finest genius studies at one of our colleges and is not placed in an office within 1 year afterwards in the cities or suburbs of Boston or New York, it seems to his friends and to himself that he is right in being disheartened and in complaining the rest of his life. A sturdy lad from New Hampshire or Vermont, who in turn tries all the professions, who drives teams, farms, peddles, keeps a school, preaches, edits a newspaper, goes to Congress, buys a township, and so forth in successive years, and always like a cat falls on his feet, is worth 100 of these. City doles, he walks even with his days and feels no shame in not studying a profession, for he does not put off his life, but lives already. He has not one chance, but 100 chances. Let a Stoic open the resources of man and tell men they are not leaning willows, but can and must stand free, that with the exercise of self-trust, new powers shall appear. That a man is the Word made flesh, born to shed healing to the nations, that he should be ashamed of our pity, and that the moment he acts from himself, tossing the laws, the books, idol worship and customs out of the window, we pity him no more but thank and revere him, and that teacher shall restore the life of man to splendor and make his name dear to all history. It is easy to see that a greater self-reliance must work a revolution in all the offices and relations of men, in their religion, in their education, in their pursuits, their ways of living, their association, in their property, in their theoretical views. 1. In what prayers do men allow themselves? That which they call a holy office is not so much as brave and manly. Prayer looks abroad and asks for some foreign addition to come through some foreign virtue, and loses itself in endless mazes of natural and supernatural, and middleman and miraculous. Prayer that craves a particular thing, anything less than all good, is wrong. Prayer is the calm looking at the facts of life from the highest point of view. It is the solo speech of a seeing and joyful soul. It is the Spirit of God pronouncing his works good. But prayer as a means to get a private end is meanness and theft. It supposes a split of two and not unity in nature and awareness. As soon as the man is at one with God, he will not beg. He will then see prayer in all action. The prayer of the farmer kneeling in his field to weed it, the prayer of the rower kneeling with the stroke of his oar, are true prayers heard throughout nature, though for small ends. Cartach in Fletcher's Bonduca, when warned to ask the mind of the God audate, replies, his hidden meaning lies in our efforts, our bravery is our best gods. Another sort of false prayers are our regrets. Discontent is the lack of self-reliance, it is weakness of will. Regret disasters, if you can thereby help the sufferer. If not, attend your own work, and already the evil begins to be repaired. Our sympathy is just as low. We come to them who weep foolishly and sit down and cry for company, instead of giving them truth and health in rough electric shocks, putting them once more in touch with their own reason. The secret of fortune is joy in our hands. Welcome always to gods and men is the self-helping man. For him all doors are flung wide, him all tongues greet, all honors crown, all eyes follow with desire. Our love goes out to him and embraces him because he did not need it. We carefully and apologetically caress and celebrate him because he held on his way and scorned our disapproval. The gods love him because men hated him. To the mortal who keeps on, said Zoroaster, the blessed immortals are swift. As men's prayers are a disease of the will, so are their creeds a disease of the mind. They say with those foolish Israelites, let not God speak to us, lest we die. Speak thou, speak any man with us, and we will obey. Everywhere I am blocked from meeting God in my brother, because he has shut his own temple doors and recites fables merely of his brother's or his brother's brother's God. Every new mind is a new way of sorting. If it prove a mind of uncommon activity and power, a Locke, a Lavoisier, a Hutton, a Bentham, a Fourier, it forces its sorting on other men, and lo, a new system. In proportion to the depth of the thought, and so to the number of the objects it touches and brings within reach of the pupil, is his self-satisfaction. But chiefly is this clear in creeds and churches, which are also sortings of some powerful mind acting on the basic thought of duty and man's relation to the highest. Such is Calvinism, Quakerism, Swedenborgism. The pupil takes the same delight in placing everything under the new terms as a girl who has just learned botany in seeing a new earth and new seasons thereby. It will happen for a time that the pupil will find his power of mind has grown by the study of his master's mind. But in all unbalanced minds, the sorting is worshipped, passes for the end, and not for a quickly used-up means, so that the walls of the system blend to their eye in the far horizon with the walls of the universe. The lights of heaven seem to them hung on the arch their master built. They cannot imagine how you outsiders have any right to see, how you can see. It must be somehow that you stole the light from us. They do not yet see that light, not locked in a system, unconquerable, will break into any cabin, even into theirs. Let them chirp a while and call it their own. If they are honest and do well, presently their neat new pen will be too narrow and low, will crack, will lean, will rot and vanish, and the immortal light, all young and joyful, million-orbed, million-colored, will beam over the universe as on the first morning. 2. It is for lack of self-culture that the superstition of traveling, whose idols are Italy, England, Egypt, keeps its fascination for all educated Americans. They who made England, Italy, or Greece worthy of deep respect in the imagination did so by sticking fast where they were, like an axis of the earth. In manly hours, we feel that duty is our place. The soul is no traveler. The wise man stays at home, and when his needs, his duties, on any occasion call him from his house or into foreign lands, he is at home still and shall make men feel by the look of his face that he goes, the missionary of wisdom and virtue, and visits cities and men like a king and not like an outsider or a servant. I have no rude objection to sailing round the globe for the purposes of art, of study, and goodwill, so that the man is first at home in himself, or does not go abroad with the hope of finding something greater than he knows. He who travels to be amused, or to get something which he does not carry, travels away from himself, and grows old even in youth among old things. In Thebes, in Palmyra, his will and mind have become old and broken down as they. He carries ruins to ruins. Traveling is a fool's paradise. Our first journeys show us that places do not care. At home I dream that at Naples, at Rome, I can be drunk with beauty and lose my sadness. I pack my trunk, embrace my friends, embark on the sea, and at last wake up in Naples, and there beside me is the hard fact, the sad self, unrelenting, the same that I fled from. I seek the Vatican and the palaces. I pretend to be drunk with sights and suggestions, but I am not drunk. My giant goes with me wherever I go. 3. But the rage of traveling is a sign of a deeper unsoundness affecting the whole action of the mind. The mind is a wanderer, and our system of education feeds restlessness. Our minds travel when our bodies are forced to stay at home. We imitate, and what is imitation but the traveling of the mind? Our houses are built with foreign taste, our shelves are dressed with foreign ornaments, our opinions, our tastes, our powers lean and follow the past and the distant. The soul created the arts wherever they have flourished. It was in his own mind that the artist sought his model. It was an application of his own thought to the thing to be done and the conditions to be observed. And why need we copy the Doric or the Gothic model? Beauty, convenience, grandeur of thought, and odd expression are as near to us as to any, and if the American artist will study with hope and love the exact thing to be done by him, considering the climate, the soil, the length of the day, the wants of the people, the habit and form of the government, he will create a house in which all these will find themselves fitted, and taste and feeling will be satisfied also. Insist on yourself, never imitate. Your own gift you can present every moment with the building force of a whole life's cultivation, but of the adopted talent of another you have only a hurried half-possession. That which each can do best, none but his Maker can teach him. No man yet knows what it is, nor can, till that person has shown it. Where is the master who could have taught Shakespeare? Where is the master who could have instructed Franklin, or Washington, or Bacon, or Newton? Every great man is one of a kind. The Scipio quality of Scipio is precisely that part he could not borrow. Shakespeare will never be made by the study of Shakespeare. Do that which is assigned you, and you cannot hope too much or dare too much. There is at this moment for you a speech brave and grand as that of the huge chisel of Phidias, or trowel of the Egyptians, or the pen of Moses or Dante, but different from all these. Not possibly will the soul, all rich, all eloquent, with thousand-split tongue, lower itself to repeat itself. But if you can hear what these patriarchs say, surely you can reply to them in the same pitch of voice. For the ear